Okay. This is my very first podcast that I am doing solo recording the video. And to say that I wanted to cry setting this up would be the understatement of the freaking year. You guys, I love doing podcasts where I get to stand, number one, so I'm sitting at my desk. Number two, zero makeup, hair in a bun, can look like absolute dog crap. And I'm telling you right now, I don't look amazing. So if you are watching this on our YouTube channel at Christina Liqueur, you will see I definitely don't look amazing, but I look better than I do in the mornings when I record these podcasts. I finally have listened to my team and said, okay, we're going to do a solo. We're going to record it so you guys can use this for video clips, or they can use it for video clips and social media and YouTube shorts and all the fun things. If you're listening to this on our podcast channel, wherever you get podcasts, YouTube, or where Spotify, Apple, Zencaster, all of the things. Maybe you could check it out on YouTube and let me know if you actually like this, because I wanted to cry setting this up. I'm going to be honest with you. I wish I could show you. Actually, I probably could, but no, I couldn't get it back to where I wanted to. And then I would cry the whole time on this podcast. And it's already been a very hard day. I could not decide. This is me being vulnerable. You guys know I am as vulnerable as I can possibly be on this podcast. Today has been a very shitty day. I'm not going to tell you the day. This will probably come out months from now and I'm going to be totally fine. But today has been a shitty day. I didn't even really want to record this podcast, to be 100% honest with you. But I actually took notes on this podcast because it's my first video one. So I wanted to be somewhat decent so you guys actually look at the videos. I am like, maybe before I go into this is a podcast, whatever my team makes the title, how to actually make a decision and how to what are the steps to actually make a decision. I just want to be real with you guys today. Today has been a really shitty day. I did a post where I said, sometimes business is easier than personal. And it's 100% the truth. Today is one of the days that personal shit is fucking way harder than business. Making money is easy compared to personal. And I know you guys have probably all felt that from day to day, but man, I have just wanted to give up. And maybe this is a podcast that I should do a whole nother podcast on. So I always ask you guys, whether it be on my YouTube channel, which you're now getting to see the solos on YouTube, or listening to this podcast or seeing clips of it on our Decide It's Your Turn Instagram or my Be Christina Instagram, or you guys send me a text message at 501. You guys, this is so funny. 329. Trying to use my hands. 501-329-22. I don't even fucking know the number today, you guys. I'll be honest with you. It has been a day. But I have it on my schedule to record this podcast and our very first solo podcast. And I feel like at least I'm not a hot, sweaty mess at the end of the day. I know what I want to talk about because I really, really do want to always give value. And I think that I have not done a very good job as of lately, the actual steps on how to make a decision for anything that you truly want, whether it be in life or business. So today I'm going to get into that, but also to say, this has been a hard day, and it's just been a day where I have felt shitty. Something personal in my personal life happened, and I just feel really shitty. I went for a walk at 1:00 in the afternoon, which is normally I usually kind of shut down my day around 3 or 4 o'clock because I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. But today, 1:00 before I was supposed to do this podcast, I was like, fuck this noise. I got to go for a walk. I got to clear my head. I got to get into gratitude. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a human, and I know you guys are too. And I always want you to know that you're not the only one. I have bad days too. I have days that, all of these thoughts come into my head, something as simple as setting up this podcast. If you're watching this, you can see that I'm almost in tears. I am 6 years into business. We bring in $500,000 in revenue. I have produced 150 something podcasts. And I'm feeling like, Christina, you're such a fucking moron that you can't set up a video light, external video and all the things. I'm feeling like an asshole that I can't do that. Well, I've never done it before. So am I an imposter? No. Am I Am I a moron, stupid, whatever it is? No. The answer is I just haven't done it before. It's very frustrating. My area of genius is not tech and not setting this up. And I definitely don't have the right setup for this. But I also want to say, like, I am literally using my desk stand and a deck of cards and a, like, I don't know, a little old box I have to set up this goat rodeo. So clearly I need to do a better job of learning how to set this up so it doesn't like frustrate me and I can come on here and give as much value as I can from the best headspace. But I will say I did it for 30 minutes. I took a photo, posted it on my social media. So if you followed me over on Instagram at @Christina, you probably saw the day that I was recording this in June. And I literally went for a walk, had a snack, because if I'm probably serious, I'm probably a stress eater. So I like go for a snack, nothing too over, I think today I had like nuts and a chocolate raspberry in my freezer and went for a walk, got into gratitude. I'm still a bit grouchy. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still a bit grouchy, but I do know that I have a job to do. Do know that I can almost, how people think that compartmentalizing is a bad thing? I actually think compartmentalizing is really good. I've had to do this in my career and my life many, many times. Sometimes you get a phone call that you don't want, and then you have to step into work. Or, I remember a situation years and years and years ago. I was still doing the corporate golf situation, and my best friend called to tell me that her mom had passed away. And I was at this huge golf event. Like, it was like one of my first events where I was with a bunch of celebrities. I was basically in charge of things. And I remember getting that phone call that morning, and it was almost like I had to put it in a box in order to get my job done. So I definitely think that compartmentalizing is sometimes a good thing, but I definitely feel like I am pretty good at that now. I'm not telling you to leave it in the box forever, but I am saying that there's some times in life where you have to put things in the box in order to get through what you need to get through. And today on the schedule was this podcast, and life happened. So I created the space to go and try to get into the best mindset possible, but I'm not telling you, I'm human. I can still have bad days, and I do my best to get over them. And tomorrow will be a better day. And the more I focus on my gratitude, and the more that I take time and space and go for a walk and get outside, to me, that's what works for me. So what works for me may not always work for you, but that really helps me. And then not getting caught up in the negative spiral of thoughts. I think that that's a hugely important thing for you guys to realize. I'm sticking to my chair. I went for a walk and did not change after, and it's hot outside. It's 90 degrees. So I am sticking to my chair. You can see that on YouTube. Let me know if you guys like this solo, but I'm sure the team will use it to cut things up. But if you watch the whole thing on YouTube, hi, it's so good to see you. And thank you for being here. I know we don't have a ton of views over on YouTube yet, but and you guys, seriously, I even went into the spiral of like, why do I even fucking do this podcast? We only have not even 100,000 downloads after however many years. And so many people have millions of downloads. People who started way after me have way more downloads. And there's people who are 19 years old that are so famous. Like, I literally went down this spiral today, and I was just like, all triggered by one conversation that I had that totally threw me off track. Have you guys ever had this happen? Like, I think we all have, right? It happens to me all the time, actually. Like, unless I'm very, very like cognizant of taking care of my boundaries. Like, when I'm on coaching calls all day, I never really look at my phone in certain things, because I know I have to be so present with my clients. Like, I never want to be taken out of that. And every once in a while, obviously things happen. And again, I have to like compartmentalize in order to do my job really well. But the spiral, it goes out of control if you let it. And your job is really to like figure out what gets you back into the best mind space. So for me, it's going for a walk. It's getting into gratitude. It's like not letting those spiral thoughts continue on to where they take over everything. Because I was literally going, fuck it. Why would I even do a video podcast? I haven't started our YouTube. Like, we're getting like 200 views on YouTube. You guys, that's freaking nothing. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, literally, I want to tell you where this whole thing went before we get into the actual podcast, because I think this is helpful for you. Like, I literally I literally went down the rabbit hole of going, why do I even need to do a podcast? Do you know how much friggin' money I spend on this podcast each month? I probably spent over $500 minimum to produce a podcast that I do not monetize in any way. Yes, people listen to it and become clients, but like literally $500 a month. Do the fucking math on how much that is. And my husband would be like, do the math. I think it's $6,000, but I don't have a calculator and I'm on video. So normally I would be using a calculator right now as I'm talking to y'all and be like, yeah, see, $6,000 a year in order to produce this podcast that doesn't make any mother trucking money. And so I literally went down that spiral. So I want you to know, like, what I do to get out of that spiral is, number one, get into gratitude. Number two, move your body physically, because that is trapped energy in your body. And number three, and I actually did do this today on my walk, is I was kind to someone else, because right now I'm in a very selfish mentality. Like, I literally am in a very selfish mentality right now. It's all about me, thinking about myself. Woe is me. This is hard. Why am I even doing this? All of the things. And, you know, what I'm actually pissed off about. So for me, those 3 steps are very tangible action steps on how to get out of a bad situation, a bad mood, compartmentalize it if you have to. But really, those 3 steps: gratitude, move your energy, and do something for someone else to make yourself not so freaking selfish in the moment. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm thinking, woe is me. This situation that's happened to me fucking sucks. And then everything else is bad. My business is bad. My podcast is bad. My life is bad. My look is bad. Like, even honestly, like right now, I'm in a very weird spot with the way that I look. I don't hate myself. I understand that I'm attractive, all the things, but like, I'm having a bad, I don't know, it feels like 6 months. I'm waiting to see what I'm going to do with my face before I go get Botox again, because I really want a good opinion about what I need and what I have to do, because all I see, and you guys are seeing it on YouTube, all I see are every mark on my face and every sun mark and every wrinkle. And it's just very frustrating. So I'm just in one of those seasons. It doesn't mean that I hate myself. It doesn't mean that I think I'm ugly and fat and old and all the things. It just means that I'm in a moment. And I think I think nowadays we're like not allowed to say that type of shit. Well, you guys know me. And this is my podcast that I do not monetize. So I can say whatever the fuck I want. And you have the choice to listen to it. And so all of that to be said, I think getting out of your own way, gratitude, moving your energy, those are tangible things that you can do to actually change your energy. And I will tell you, even though we're only probably 10 minutes into this podcast right now, normally I have a timer on my recording thing, but now that we're doing it as a video, I don't even know how long we're going. So this is bad. Hey, lesson learned. Remember when you start, remember the time when you start, because then I can look at the time to see how long this actual podcast is. So there we go. I'm listening to something. But what I was going to say was, at the end of this podcast, I know I'm going to be in a much better space, because this is what I love to do. I love to serve humans. I love to help people decide it's their turn. I am so freaking passionate about this. And I really, really want you guys to do the thing that you are passionate about, that you love, and decide it is your turn. And, the one thing about a podcast, we have a podcast editor. Well, my podcast editor can take out when I'm drinking water. Well, who the fuck is going to take it out of YouTube? No one. So you're just going to have to see me drink, because I talk a lot. I barely breathe when I talk. You guys know that this is a big issue for me. I wish someone could help me. I need to breathe in between thoughts, but I'm just, again, so passionate. And you're going to hear me drink water. By the way, does anyone hate that noise? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I feel really bad. Like, mute yourself right now. Trying to be very quiet when I do that, because one of my biggest pet peeves, I got asked this question when Nathan and I recorded a podcast together. What is your biggest pet peeve? I'm sure I'm perfect and he doesn't have one for me, but I have many for him. And one of them is when he drinks, it makes the loudest freaking noise ever. Another fun fact about me is I have multiple drinks going at all times. So sparkling water, regular water. I'm probably not going to drink the sparkling water right now, due to the simple fact that I don't want to burp on this podcast. One of my great girlfriends, former client, she would not be mad that I call her out on this. Sarah Faith, you guys know her and love her. She's the Nashville superstar. She burps on her lives and her podcasts and all of the things all the time. I'm just not here for that. I love Sarah to death. There's a lot of things that we agree on. That's not one. So I will only be drinking the still water on this podcast and not the sparkling. And until I'm ready to pay someone to cut this out of the YouTube, you will be watching me drink some water because we just need to drink water if we talk for like an hour straight. So what is this podcast actually about? See, you guys, I am in a better mood. Why? Because I fucking love to get to do this. So today's topic is all about actually deciding it's your turn and tangible steps. This is the one thing I hate about social media, and tell me if this feels true to you. People just tell you like the fucking end result, but they don't tell you how to actually get there. And I really never want to be that coach. You know, I think the coaching industry, and I've mentioned this 1,000 times before, especially to you loyal listeners, if today is your first podcast, hey, welcome. I was very grouchy in the beginning, but I'm not as grouchy now. And this is the first time ever you're going to see me record a solo podcast on video. So come say hi on YouTube and tell me that you're watching this. We're going to text it to people. So if you're not on my text list, it's 501-222-3362. See, I was grouchy in the beginning, couldn't remember my phone number, but now I can. 501-222-3362. Very confusing, I know, but text me that phone number and I will send you the link to the YouTube and I will send you the link to the podcast. Or obviously, if you're already listening to the podcast or you're watching this on YouTube, hi, I'm Christina. I am not smart currently. Holy cow. But I will text you all of them if you want to see it. And perhaps you're just listening to it and you want to watch it. Come say hi to me on YouTube. We get to connect and you'll actually get to see what I look like if you don't follow me on social media. It's a wrinkled, spotty version of myself, a little sweaty too. Like I said, I haven't had a shower after my walk, but I needed to walk in order to record this. Holy shit, can we actually get to the point of today's podcast? Do you guys like the bullshitting? One of my favorite podcasts, they basically just bullshit the whole entire time. If you guys want to do a podcast with me where you just come on and we bullshit for like a whole hour, I find it super comical. So let me know if you want me to do that. Maybe I'll do it with you. All you have to do is ask. Anyway, tangible steps on how to make an actual decision to decide it's your turn. Holy moly. This was like 20 minutes to get here. Jeez Louise, Christina, today. Tangible steps. Number one, and you guys should be proud. I have notes. I'm not going to show you my notes because my penmanship is brutal. I should have been a doctor. No, I shouldn't have. Oh my God, I should not have been a doctor. Number one, tangible steps. And you guys hear me say this all the time. Why do you think I do free clarity calls? Yes, I still do free clarity calls for anyone who wants a clarity call. So if you are stuck on one personal business mindset or strategy, like thing that you know you're stuck on, that is what my free clarity calls are for. I promise you, no strings attached. Yes, a lot of people end up working with me after because in less than, 40 minutes, we can get you super clear on what is the one, mindset or strategy thing that is keeping you stuck. But the number one most tangible step I can give you into actually making a decision and actually getting what you want is getting super clear. And I know that sounds so weird because people think they're really clear on what they want, but I will promise you, 70% of people, and that might be a low number, are not clear. You are not clear because it's almost impossible not to get what you want with these how many do I have here? 6 steps. 6 steps on making a true decision and actually getting it. The number one thing is getting super, 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 super clear on what you want. Most people know what they don't want, but they aren't clear on what they do want. And I want you guys to understand this. So I'm going to give you literally a very clear thing. An example in my own personal life. I have hundreds of stories from clients, but in my own personal life. So the very first time, and I think I've used this example before. You know what? Let me use an example that I've never used on the podcast before. So you guys get a whole new story because I know that I've done when I wanted, to take my parents on a trip for their birthday, or I wanted to buy Nathan a car, or I wanted my eternity band or whatever it is. Those are those again are very, very simple, clear things that I 100% wanted. Like I knew exactly what I wanted. But so when I got married, Nathan and I bought the house that I'm currently sitting in. We bought it right after we got married, maybe like a year and a half after we got married. It was complete renovation. We basically took it down to the studs and started again. Very grateful that we had a house to live in beforehand. I moved in with Nathan while I was still in college, actually. Obviously, I was broke. I was playing golf professionally. Newsflash, you do not make any golf or make any money playing golf professionally, especially in the beginning. And I was not the best in the world. And really to make good money as a woman back in the day, maybe 20 years ago, whatever it was, you really needed to be like the top 50 in the world, worst case scenario, in order to make like a few $100,000, if not $1 million. And so I was definitely not that good. So I moved in with him. We got married 8 years into our relationship, or 8 or 9 years into our relationship. A year and a half after we got married, we found the house that we're currently in right now. It was gross, to say the least. We basically took it down to the studs and renovated it and did all the things. When we got this house, Nathan still makes way more money than me. Anyway, he paid for the renovation and I paid for all the furniture in the house. So this was something that I was super, super clear on. I knew that I was going to furnish the house. When we moved out of our old house and into this house, we brought like, I don't know, not even a full back of a truck. Like my husband drives like a GMC Chevrolet. Well, at the back of that truck is all the shit we brought from one house to the other. So basically it was like our clothes and shit. Like we barely brought anything from the old house to the new house. So I'm talking from this chair that I'm sitting in to the desk that this computer is sitting on to, the bed, the chairs, the tables, all of the things. There was very, very few things that came from the old house to the new house. Well, I knew that was my portion to pay for. I said, I will furnish the house. We came up with a very, very clear budget on what that was going to cost. You guys, I was so clear on exactly what I needed and exactly what needed to occur that it was like so much easier to get. If I didn't know what I was aiming for, and I want you to put yourself in this story, whatever it is, you have to be so freaking crystal clear. You can see it in your mind. There's not a doubt in your mind of what it's going to be. That is step number one. You have to be super clear. And if you aren't clear about what you want, you're not going to fucking get there that easily because you don't even know what you're looking for. Again, drinking the water. The podcast guy will probably cut that out, or maybe he won't. But on the YouTube, you're seeing me drinking water. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was very funny. The guy that I was listening to said when someone in business this big company polled all their employees about what kind of income they wanted in their life. And every person, like it was almost like to a T, every person, whether they're making $40,000 a year or $100,000 a year or $1 million a year, every person said their goal was 3 times the amount that they're currently making. So like if you were making 40,000, 120,000, if you're making 100,000, 300,000. The reason why that happens is most people aren't super clear on what they actually want. Like unless you have gotten so clear on what it actually takes to have the lifestyle that you want or to accomplish the goal that you want or to get the thing that you want, and you're so clear on exactly what it is, you're probably preventing yourself from getting it because you're not actually clear on what you actually frigging want. It's like, well, I think I want $300,000 a year. Well, dang, you haven't even done the math on what you really want. It might be 600,000 or it might be 150,000, but in your head, you're not clear on exactly what you want. So the tangible steps on getting what you actually want. So deciding it's your turn and actually getting it. Number 1, super clear on what you actually want. Number 2, the first step, not all the steps, not the end steps. What is the next step? What is the actual next step? So let's go back to the furniture. I had to know what the next step was. I am telling you, if I would have thought about every little thing that went into the house, if I would have been thinking about like oh my gosh, will I be able to get this? Will I be able to get this? Will I be able to get this? No, it was like the next step. So like, what was my next step in accomplishing that goal? What was the next step that I needed to take in order to get the furniture, in order to furnish the house? I needed to know that next step, not the end step and not the how, because I promise you, the next step is the only step that matters. So many people stop themselves from doing something because they think about all the things. And I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I see it with clients day in and day out. I promise you, they stop themselves because they're thinking so far down the road and not the next step. Whatever that next step is the tangible next step. So clarity is number one. Number two, what is the first step? Not all the steps. That's number two. Number three, this is a big one. This is everything that I talk about. This is everything that I coach on mindset wise, which is what are the stories, patterns, habits, blocks that are keeping you stuck from actually getting that thing? So once you're clear on what the thing is, that next step, this is when all of the blocks come in. This is when all the overwhelm comes in. This is when all the stories come in. This is when all the patterns come in. Most of it is about money. Most of it is about, it's all of the things, right? It's like whatever the next step is like you are like, what is the block? The block is, if I go back to the furniture was a very bad example. I'm going to be honest with you. But what is the most block? So what is the block? Like I've never had, the house that I have today. I never had that before. So maybe my block was, can I actually do this? Should I actually have this? What are people going to say? What is the pattern that I've been stuck in? Perhaps, God forbid, let's say my desk. So my desk is and I wish I could show you my desk, but again, I can't move this whole setup because it took me 30 minutes without crying to actually set it up. Actually, I did shed a tear, but this desk is one of the items in my house that is one of the expensive pieces. In my house, I have a combination of expensive pieces and very inexpensive pieces. Think Restoration Hardware and TJ Maxx, whatever. Take those two things. This desk was a custom desk from a local store here, a local furniture store. Very expensive desk. Well, maybe one of the stories that I had, which is probably true, is, I don't need something that nice because, that's probably the way I grew up. Like, who are you to think that you need something that nice? Or why do you need something that nice? What are the stories, patterns, and habits that I have that are keeping me stuck from actually achieving my goal? So that's a silly example, but it's true, because how many people have I worked with over the years that have money patterns, money stories, money habits, money, things from their family, things from the people surrounding them? There's so many things that keep people stuck from actually getting the thing that they decide for. I had a client one time, I'm sure I've had many of them, that don't know how to hold money because their family, like the minute they got it, they spent more than they even had. So in her brain, she's like, I'm almost like afraid to have money because she doesn't really know what she wants to do with it. She doesn't really know how to hold money. She's never seen her bank account go high, or maybe her parents were the people who always spent everything. So then she saves everything. And I have guy clients too, but I'm just using an example. What are the blocks, patterns, and habits that you have that are keeping you stuck from actually achieving the goal that you want to achieve? This is like the number 3 tangible step in order to actually decide it's your turn for something. The 4th step, who is going to be your top 3 people in regards to getting the thing that you want? Oh my God, you guys, I'm not even kidding. I could barely read my writing right there. Jeez. God, see, this is why I don't do fucking notes, because I can't even read what I write anyway. I was like thinking to myself did you notice I slowed down my speech? Who is going to be your top 3? Okay, that's right. Now I remember. Who are going to be the top 3 people that you can look to? This is the twofold. Who are going to be the top 3 people that you can look to that actually have the thing that you want? Because I know that one thing that I tell my clients all the time is that if it's happened before in life, it is proof that it is possible for you. And then the flip side of that are who are going to be the top 3 people that prevent you from getting what it is that you've decided for. And I would be very clear on those 3 people for the prevention and those 3 people as the proof. I would get very clear on those 3 things. So like, let's pick going back to, again, I wish I would have picked a much better fucking example than the furniture in my house, but whatever. Let's go back to the furniture in my house. Who are the top 3 people that I can look at that have like a beautiful house and are in the same, like, they're no different than me. They were able to furnish their house. They figured out how to do it. Who are those 3 people that'll be my proof that it is possible? And then who are the 3 people that'll probably keep me stuck? You know, is it someone close to you? Is it like a family member? Is it someone that tells you, oh, who do you think you're trying to be with that like nice desk or whatever the hell it is? Get really clear on who those 3 people are that are going to be like almost the vision for what is possible, and those 3 people who are going to probably hold you back from achieving it. Once you understand, once you can witness it, like it's so easy to understand something once you can witness it, like almost get the craziness out of your head and get it into existence. So when something does come up, like I told you at the beginning of this podcast where I was going through all the fucking chaos in my head today, like when you're thinking about achieving your goal and you know that these 3 people, you know, let's say it's, you know, hypothetically, let's say it's your mom, your brother, and your best friend that are probably going to hold you back from achieving those things because perhaps they don't believe it's true for them. Perhaps they're jealous. Perhaps, you know, they have limiting beliefs. Perhaps they're not secure in themselves, whatever it is. Once you know who those 3 people are, it's going to be so helpful for you to be able to witness it in real time and be like, oh, see, that makes sense. They're telling me I can't actually do it, but there's these 3 people over here that are absolute freaking proof that it is possible. So know who those 3 people are from both sides. The, what is this? The fifth one, you guys, I know I probably say this all the time. I know my clients hear it all the time. Is there is always a way to yes. For anything and everything you want in life, there is always a way to yes. When you believe that, it's almost like impossible for it not to happen. If you believe to your core being that there is always a way to yes for everything, then you 100%, like it's almost like you're never not going to get the fucking thing. Like if you believe that there is always a way to yes, always believe it to your core that there is a way to yes, you'll always get the thing. Think about it. Like nowadays there's like Chat GPT. How do I actually get this? Or, you know, who do you know? Relationship capital is one of the greatest capitals on the planet. Most people who are good people are wanting to help you if you're friends with them or if you know them, or even if you just ask people. Like most people are willing to help you or point you into the right direction. You know, there's books, there's podcasts, there's seminars, there's coaches, there's classes. Like if you want something, there is a way to yes. The asterisk star to this, and I know where so many people are thinking, the asterisk star to this is, will it always be easy? No. Will it always be risk-free? No. Will it always be something that's like, oh, super simple, I'll just click that box or do that thing? No. But is there a way to yes for almost everything? Abso-frickin-lutely. But this is what goes back to number 3, which is what are the stories, patterns, habits, blocks, all the things that are keeping you from getting the actual thing? I promise you there's always a way to yes, but the asterisk on that is it might not always be easy and it might not always be what you want to do because you're probably programmed one way. Everything is possible. I was telling my client the other day, you know, because she's kind of in this situation that's a bit sticky. And, you know, she was talking about, I want this, I want this, I want this. But the 1 or 2 things that are kind of holding her up, I said, hey, have you ever been so clear on something and not been able to get it? And she said, no. I said, the thing is, you aren't clear on what exactly you want. And you are 100%, there's no doubt about it in this situation, you are 100% not believing that there's a way to yes. Because everything else that you were so clear on, you have achieved in your life and in your business. Right now, you're just not super clear and you're not believing that there's a way to yes. And I think the number one thing is there's not a way to yes for her because she's not really clear on what she actually wants. And she would probably tell you that this is true. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we talked about it on our coaching call this morning. And I literally said this to her. I was like, you have achieved everything that you want when you are so crystal clear and laser focused, and you'll do whatever it takes. Right now, you're not getting this thing because you're not super clear if you actually want it. There's these 1 or 2 stories that are holding you back. And that's the only reason why you're actually not getting it. Everything is possible. And I hope if you're a person who's rolling their eyes, I want you to like literally send me a message. Send me a DM on Instagram, send me a podcast, or send me a text message, 501-222-3362. You can get this link in the show notes on the podcast. Like, there is a way to find me. I would love to know if you don't believe this is true, because I've never seen this not proven. I promise you. You have to get super clear. You have to just take the first step, not all the steps. You have to know what your patterns, stories, habits, blocks are. Figure out how to change those to support you. You have to figure out who is going to help you and who is going to prevent you. Know who those people are. Set up boundaries with the people who are going to prevent you for damn sure. Believe that there's always a way to yes if you're willing to do it. There is always a way to yes if you're willing to do it. And the last thing that I would say in getting exactly what you want and what you have decided for is know yourself. Know what you need in order to achieve that. I have said it on this podcast 100 times before. I know I am a person who needs accountability and needs support. I just fucking know it about myself. I know that if I don't, and I've used this example 100 times, I know it's probably getting worn out, but I know if I do not have a trainer, I am not going to lift weights. Well, I want to be a person who can literally remain strong and not like lose my bones or my muscle and not be able to walk. Like, that is devastating to me to even think about not being active at like 80 years old. God forbid I die before that. But like, I want to be the person who walks 3 miles at 80 years old. I want to never even contemplate in my brain that I couldn't walk up a set of stairs. Like, zero fucking chance that I want that to be me. So I do know that in order to lift weights, I need accountability. I need someone who's going to hold me accountable. Well, I know that about myself. So I have to put something in because I know that I'm not a person who like lifts weights without someone telling me or paying for it. You know, when you pay attention. I had one client the other day. Oh my God, it was so funny. They're like, you tell us to decide it's our turn. Your slogan must be decide to spend money. And I was like, yes, but it's so much easier to spend money when you 100% know you can make money too. I mean, that's a big portion of it. And figure out what you're spending money on, because when you spend money on things that matter, you can make more money. Like, I mean, that's a whole nother podcast, but it's true. Trust me, I couldn't make money if I wasn't spending money on the things that support me being able to do my fucking job. Like, yes, I get it. It was so funny when my client said that. I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. That's hilarious. But they don't regret spending that money. So you know who you are if you listen to this podcast. I friggin' loved it. I told my husband that. I was like, oh my God, decide to spend some money. But you're creating a much better life and being able to make money. One of my former mentors a long time ago said, if it doesn't bring you income and it doesn't bring you joy, don't fucking do it. And I love that. I don't know if he said fucking, but I did. I added that in there. So I guess it's my line now. But you guys, those are the tangible steps for actually deciding it's your turn. So tangible steps. I don't want to be the person who just tells you the end of the road or the fluff and be like, yeah, it's just easy magic to make it happen. No, get super clear. Number 1. Number 2, the first step, not all the steps. What is the first step? Then the second step, then the third step. Do not get overwhelmed by the end of the road and all of the possible things. It is the next step. What are your blocks, stories, patterns, and habits? Figure out, do you have someone helping you with those things? because that is a massive part of getting what you want. You have to reprogram all of those things to support you and not hinder you. This is what 90% of people don't do. Do not come to me and tell me you have an issue if you're not willing to fucking change those things. That is my number one pet peeve. Like, there is always a way to yes. I forgot about the step about finding the top 3 people that are going to prevent you and the 3 people that are going to support you. And then there is always a way to yes. There is always a way to yes if you want to, guys. Always. It is a matter of making a decision and sticking with it. You know, I was told the other day, and I need a sip of water because I get emotional. I was told the other day that it's so easy for me. I have this great life. I have this business. It's just so easy for me to get whatever I want. And I was so pissed. I was like, how fucking dare you? I wasn't born this way. I was not born this way. I decided this. And yes, I have some personality traits or characteristics that I'm sure have helped me, but same personality traits have hindered me, I'm sure, in a lot of regards. But having the life and the business that I desire is a fucking decision. And it is a decision that I consciously made, and I make decisions from the conscious state of what I fucking want and what I want this life to be. And I want you to understand that as well. You know, it is so easy to say, well, you're just born that way, or that's just easy for you. No, it is a decision. Hence the brand, folks. I've decided it's my turn. It is a conscious decision, sometimes 1,000 times today, 1,000 times in a day. Think about how I started this podcast versus how I'm ending it. Do you really think that I wanted to record this podcast today, especially on fucking video for the first time ever, having to set this bullshit up because I'm not good at this? No, but it is a decision to show up. And I know every single time I show up, I get closer to what I want because I am a person who decides something, and I have reprogrammed and still do so many patterns, habits, and stories. I know who supports me and I know who doesn't. And by the way, it is very hard to know the people that are going to prevent you from having the life that you want and putting boundaries in. I know this for a fact because I fucking do it. This is how you can have this life. This is how you can have the business. This is the tangible steps it takes to do something that most people will not do. I am not that successful compared to some, and I'm very successful compared to others. I create my success. That's a whole nother podcast, and I'm sure I've done one before. But I know what successful is to me. And I guarantee you, it is making a decision every single day that it's my turn. Creating this life was not something that I was born with. Creating this life is something that I have consciously done. I create tangible steps and I follow through on those steps because I know myself and I know what I want and I know life is short and I want this for you too. Hence the reason why I almost didn't do this podcast today, but I am the person who commits to what I say I'm going to do. I am the person who has done this enough to know that, like, the stories that I had about, like, why should I even do this? Who even cares? It's not monetizing. Everyone else is better than me. All the things. No, I know that that is just some bullshit stories in my head. I know it's not true. Yes, that it is true that I don't monetize it, very few views on, especially right now on the YouTube. So if you could go watch the YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. Please share this podcast. You guys, this is the only way that I actually get this podcast shared and noticed. Like, it is a fucking grind. There is millions of podcasts in the world. And if you listen to this and you're a person who listens but has never one time connected with me, or you're a person who just wants to listen and, like, never work with me, or, like, I don't even give a shit if you work with me. All I care about is getting this message out. I know that I'm not for everyone, but I also know there's probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that would probably resonate with what I have to say. They'd probably dig the fact that I say God and fuck. They'd probably dig the fact that, like, I came from what I thought was, like, the worst life ever until I fucking realized that the only person could change it was me. I think there's a ton of people that could resonate. And what is a ton? I don't know. But I really do believe, I mean, there are some famous people out there that have grown organically. And maybe I'm one of them, or maybe I'll never connect with a million people. I don't really care. I know that I am living my God-given purpose. I know that I have the greatest life ever because I decided, not because I was born with it, to that who said that to me. But I'm telling you, you guys can do this too. And I want this for you. I want you to decide it's your turn. I want you to have a great life. I want you to get to the end and be like, fuck, that was pretty good. You know, I don't want to die anytime soon, but I'll tell you the last few years of my life, the last probably 10 years of my life, maybe a little less, I've really been in alignment. And I don't have many regrets in the last couple of years. I really fucking don't. And I'm so proud of it. I wasn't born with it. I decided it. And these are some tangible steps that I took. And I know you can do the exact same thing. If you guys need help on the clarity, you can book a free 100% complimentary clarity call with me. The link is in the bio, in my show notes, on YouTube, on my Instagram. There is a way to find me. If you are listening to this podcast, I guarantee it. If you want it, you can figure out how to book one of those calls with me. I'm so grateful. I hope I hear from you. I hope you share this with one person. I know every podcaster says that, you guys, but I promise you, you have to do it because we all give so much. You know, I'm so grateful for each one of you. And I would just be so grateful if you could share this podcast with one person who needs to decide the actual steps to take to decide it's their turn. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here on the YouTube for the very first time. I hope someone sees this. One fucking person. I know my video guy, Jake. I know you've seen it. Thank God. Besides that, I don't know if anyone else will see it. But I'm so, so grateful for you guys. Let me know again if you want solo podcasts on video, if you like them, if you'll actually watch them. I know they're probably going to turn this into clips. So I'm so grateful, you guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to live a life that I'm absolutely obsessed with. And don't forget, at any moment in time, you have the power to decide it's your turn.